this is the story of how I got conned out of thousands of pounds. Yay! It's so good. Hi guys! I wanted to tell this story because it's something that's messed up that happened to me, and also I don't even want to say that this will stop it from happening to you, because I don't think anyone would actually be as dumb to fall for this now. So let's set the scene for you guys. It was 2000 and I was 19, 20 years old, and I was looking for a job because I was broke as hell and I'd never had another job before. Like, I mean, I'd had one job, and that was just working at a football stadium selling burgers and chips to drunk football fans. That's all I did, and I didn't even get that job myself. My dad got me the job at the time because he was working as like a security guard or something there. So I was like, Dad, I need a job. And he was like,
I'll get you a job. You can come work at the football stadium with me.
And I was like, great, okay. So I just did that job, and I didn't have to do an interview or anything like that. So I didn't really know how the job process worked. So it was Christmas time, and your girl needed money. Your girl was broke as, like, I couldn't even buy Christmas presents for anyone. I was a student. I think I was in my first year of uni, something like that. First or second year of uni. All I could give my family and friends were probably instant noodles for a present. That's what I could afford, and that's what I had. That was my legacy, okay? But you can't give your mom noodles for Christmas. So I was like, I need to get a job. This was back in the time where the internet wasn't as like big as what it is now. Like, it wasn't so simple to just be like, okay, go on the website and like apply. It was more like there were other ways of getting jobs as well. So one time I was just scrolling on Facebook, as you do, scrolling, posting on my girls like, what you doing, girl, come over, you know. And I saw this post, and it was like all like Christmas decorated, and it was like someone had shared it onto my wall. It said something like along the lines of, are you a student? I was like, I'm a student. Are you poor? Like, that is me, I'm poor. Like, hey, this is the one. This is the one, okay? But I mean, I'm gonna start saying red flags. So this was red flag number one. I mean, obviously, like, no one in this day and age would be like, this is a legit job. But I was like, sounds legit. £300 in one day. Are you a student? Are you poor? Are you ready? Are you motivated? All those things. So I was like, yeah, okay, let me send them a message. So I sent them a message, and I can't even remember what I said. I was just like, hey, I'm interested in this job. It didn't even say what the job was on the post. It was just like, yeah, quick cash, student, quick Christmas money, sorted. So they messaged me back, and this is red flag number 2. Okay, so his profile picture was a picture of money. It was literally a picture of him, his hands, holding wads of money. So it didn't have his face. It literally just had him with about, let's say, 2 grand. And most people would look at that and be like, okay, obviously, girl, like, this is a scam. But me, being like young, dumb, and living off mom, was like, I mean, this looks weird, but that could be me, you know? So I was looking at his pictures, and I was like, and it was like those things that you see on Instagram these days, where it's like, double your cash fast, get quick cash, you could be rich, this could be you, this could be you, but you're tripping. Yeah, so I basically gave him my number, and he was like, yeah, I'll give you a call with more details. I was like, sweet. And a few days later he called me. I was in my friend's car, we were driving somewhere, I can't remember where, and he called me, and it was this like an Indian guy, and he was just like, I was listening to the accent and I was like, don't be racist. He was just, I can't remember what he said, but it was basically just like, he gave me a little bit more details about the job, and it still didn't make sense to me, but I thought that I was just being dumb. So he basically told me that we were going to be buying and selling phone contracts, and he gave me all this like lingo that I didn't understand, and it wasn't like a detailed conversation like you have to do this, 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 this. He basically was just like, yeah, it's really easy, like we're just buying and selling phone contracts, and it's like blah blah blah. So but yeah, but I was like, and because my friend was next to me as well, I think I just wanted to be like cool. I was just like, yeah, sounds good, sounds great, yeah, see you tomorrow. So, and he didn't tell me what to wear, he didn't tell me bring your passport, he didn't say bring, you know, lunch, he didn't say anything. He was just like, yeah, meet me at the pavilion at 12 o'clock. So I got dressed. I don't even remember what I was wearing, but it was something that was just basically like neutral. And I got there and I was waiting there by myself for like, he was like a good half an hour late. And then I saw a guy approaching me, and he was wearing a business suit, I'm pretty sure, from what I remember. It was something that made me think, oh no, okay, like he looks professional. Because I remember thinking, if a guy turns up and he's just like wearing like a track suit and like a cap, obviously I know that this is shady. But being young and naive, I thought that would say everything, but obviously it didn't. So the guy came and he was dressed really nice, he looked professional. He was carrying like kind of like a briefcase kind of thing, and he was with another kid like that was about my age. So the kid was just like kind of walking behind him and looked like, guys, he looked kind of freaked out, and that was another flag, because I was like, if you had seen him, this is what he looked like. So anybody else would see that kid and be like, okay, clearly this is not what I should be doing. Like, this kid does not look happy, he doesn't look secure, he looks like something's going on and he needs help. But I was like, maybe that kid's just nervous and just like a pussy, like the fuck. I was just like, hi, and then he sent that kid away. Like, he wasn't like bye, but he was just like, he told him like where he had to go next. So he was just like, oh yeah, they were having like a conversation, and then the kids walked off, and he took me. And when I say take me, I don't mean he like took me, but like he took me to a bank. From what I remember, he took me to a bank, and he was just like, this is what he did. He basically wanted to get me to trust him. So one way or another, he put like £20 in my account or something, and then he was like, yeah, take it out, like take it out at the ATM. So like, so you know that you have it. So I took the money out, and I was like, $20 or £20 for doing nothing. This is so good. Like, I can trust this guy. I mean, I wasn't all the way trusting him, but I was just like, well, why would he give me money if he wasn't legit? But in realistic, like, why would he give me money if I wasn't doing anything? Like, duh. He explained to me again, and even to this, even then, if he had said to me, what did he just say and what does it mean, I couldn't have told you, because it just didn't really make sense. So like, immediately after he took me to the bank, he basically got me to buy a phone, and it wasn't just like any old phone, it was like the latest phone at that time. So I think it was maybe like a Samsung Galaxy Note something or other. It was like a really expensive phone contract, and he made me take it out for a 2-year contract. I think it was something like £50 or £60 a month, something like really expensive. and it was under my name and on my bank card, and they had my bank details. So I had the first phone, and then I started to think like, this just doesn't seem right. Like, why am I doing this? How am I profiting from buying this phone? And yes, I know all of you right now are looking at me like, this girl is so dumb, and I am not doubting that. Like, I was so dumb. And even at that point, I started to think like, okay, something doesn't feel right. He tried to explain how I was gonna make money from this a couple times, but it still didn't make sense to me. So I decided to do the responsible thing and call my dad. So I called my dad and I told him what was going on, and I said, I don't feel quite right about this. I feel a little bit like it might be a scam. It might be a scam. Can you talk to the guy and see if you think he's legit? And obviously, like, it's my dad, so he's grown, he's wise, he knows things. So I was basically just like leaving it to my dad to tell me if this was legit, like if I was just being paranoid or if it was the real deal. So he's like, yeah, no problem, put the guy on the phone. So I gave the guy my phone, and he said, yeah, so this is what we do, and the company does this, 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 is the blah, 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 blah. I was not following any of it. I was just like, Dad, is it real? Is it real? Tell me the truth. Should I run away right now? So they were talking for maybe like between 5 and 10 minutes. And then he hands me back the phone, and he's like, yeah, I spoke to your dad. Like, he understands it. And I was like, okay. And I spoke to my dad again. I was like, okay, so what do you think? And he's like, yeah, like, it makes sense. Thanks, Dad. He's like, yeah, it makes sense, but ultimately, like, it's just up to you. Like, if you don't feel right in the situation, then maybe you should leave. But if you feel like continuing, I think it's okay. And obviously I'm not blaming my dad or anything, but like, probably if he had told me, Jay, this is a scam, I would have left. But because he was just kind of on the fence, I was like, maybe I'm just being super paranoid, and like, I don't really know anything about like tech or about like contracts and stuff. So maybe I'm just being stupid and weird and paranoid. And my dad seemed like he didn't like hear a problem when he spoke to him. Obviously the guy was just really good at the talk, and I ultimately decided to continue working with this guy. Yay! That day I purchased about 6 phones, 6 contracts, 2-year contracts, all at about £60 each. And the guy would not come in with me, so I went by myself. I went and did it, like, spoke to the people, picked the phone, picked the case color, whatever it was. And as soon as I would get the phone, I would hand him everything. So we got to the last store. I can't remember which store it was. Maybe it was 3. Went in there, and finally my card didn't work because the bank realized that there was suspicious activity going on, thank God. And I couldn't get the phone. They wouldn't accept my card, so I was ultimately just denied another phone, the 7th phone or the 6th phone. So he had all the phones. I did not have any of them. They were all with him, and he basically would wait outside the shop, and I would come back out. And after I came out, and I had his number, so usually I would just text him saying like, coming out now, or I'd say like, where are you, whatever. And this time I came out, and I made a really big mistake, but obviously I didn't realize at the time. But I texted him and said I couldn't get the last phone. So when I texted him that, I got no response, obviously, because he had no more use for me. And I waited maybe like 5 minutes, no response. I texted him again, where are you? No response. I called, it went straight to voicemail. That's when it just dawned on me. I mean, it had already kind of dawned on me, but this is when I really was like, wow, I've been conned. And I just burst into tears in the middle of like the busiest shopping street. And I was just like, what am I gonna do? I'm so stupid. Like, who does this? Like, who in their right mind would go with a random guy and buy a bunch of phone contracts in their name and not even have the phones and not even have the money to do that? Like, what am I thinking? So I literally just like was crying, and obviously the first thing I did was call my dad. So I called my dad, and Dad, he conned me, he frauded me, it was fraud, it was all fraud. Yeah, I told you, why didn't you tell me to leave? I was so upset, and my dad was just like,
okay, come home now.
I had to catch the bus home. So on the bus home, and I was still calling the con man. I changed his name to Con Man in my phone. I was calling him. I was like, how could you? I hope that you get hit by a car. I was just like, this guy. So when I got home, we called the police, because like, hello, I was gonna have to pay like 6 rounds of £60 for the next 2 years. So we called the police came. I told them everything. I showed them the Facebook page, which had actually been deleted. I showed him the messages between us and on the Facebook and on my phone, and like I gave him a description of what he looked like and everything. But he was just a really, like, I can't even to this day remember what he looked like. I just remember he was quite tall, he was Indian guy, quite well dressed. Can't remember if he had a beard or whatever, but at the time obviously I knew what he looked like. So they took a record of everything and did like a fraud report, and then they were just like, basically it's up to the phone companies to decide if you're gonna pay it or not. And I was just like, kill me. So in the following days after I got beautifully conned, I was on the phone to like all the companies saying that I got scammed. I had to word it in the right way, because obviously, you know, I had to get them on my side. So I was just telling them like, you know, I'm a young girl, this guy like conned me into putting my name under these phone contracts. I don't even have the phone. I haven't even opened the box of the phone. I do not own these phones. I think 3 of them instantly wrote, not instantly, but like after maybe the first week, like just erased the contract. So just like, okay, you're a victim of fraud, you don't have to pay for it. But there were 2 companies, and I can't remember which ones they were, but they would not let it go. Not let it go. They would not let it go. And it was just exhausting. They were always calling me. The first month went by and the 2 bills came in, and obviously I couldn't pay them. I wasn't even paying my own phone contract at this time. My dad was paying my phone contract. So they called, they sent me my bill, and it was £60, something like that. And then the other one was like the same. So I had to call them and be like, listen, I don't even have those phones. I blocked all of them, like somehow. Like I probably called the companies so that the phones couldn't be used, but who knows, like they probably had some way to unblock them. Or just sell the handsets. But I refused to pay, because I knew, and my parents told me, if you pay even one of these bills, that's it. They'll be like, this is your responsibility. So I just kept refusing to pay the bill. And then the second company eventually was like, okay, it's over. So there was just the one company that was not letting me go free. They just were so adamant. There was the woman on the phone was so unsympathetic. I was just like, this happened to me, and she was just like, yeah, it doesn't matter, you have to pay, you have to pay, you have to pay, you have to pay. And I remember I was at uni, and actually when all this happened, I had just started dating this guy, and we'd been together like a few months. And when I was actually going through this, like on the actual day that it happened, I was texting him and stuff, and I was just like, yeah, I'm at this job, I'm so happy I'm finally gonna be earning money. And I never told him what actually went down. I didn't tell him that I was crying. I didn't tell him that I'd have to call the police, because I was like, I'd already been conned because I was so dumb. I was like, the last thing I want to do is get dumped because I was so dumb. Like, who's gonna stay with a girl that is that freaking naive? Like, so he never even knew anything. So when I was at uni and the phone companies would call me, I'd go into the other room and have a conversation like, I can't pay this, I got frauded, blah blah blah. And he was in the other room. I'd come back and he'd be like, oh, what was that about? Nothing, you know, just me being a genius. Probably like NASA calling me or something, because I'm so smart. I remember the morning that I got that last phone company to leave me alone. And I woke up that morning and I was like, right, this ends today. I am gonna call them and I'm gonna talk to them like they've never been talked to before. I went downstairs, I made myself a cup of tea, and I was just like, I can't remember what I said, but it was like, it's the toughest I've ever been on the phone. I was just like,
listen, I'm not doing this, and this happened to me, and blah 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 blah.
And eventually they were like, okay, we will cancel it. And I got a letter in the mail saying, you no longer owe something something, because before I began letters, you owe 600, you owe 500, you owe 700. And then eventually I got a letter saying the arrears have been cleared and you now owe, and then it said 0. And I was like, I am free. So yeah, so that's the time I got conned. And just in case anyone's wondering, the guy, he never got caught. He probably scammed more kids, which is like the sad reality. And the thing is, on that day when I saw him with that boy, I also saw him with another girl, and we were all around the same age as well. So I know, unless hopefully they were smarter than me and realized what was going on earlier than what I did and didn't buy anything, but I'm pretty sure that most of them did. And I hope, if you're watching this, if you remember me, you probably don't, because I was probably just like 1 in 100 kids that you conned. I hope you feel good about yourself. Actually, no, I hope you're watching this from jail somehow. Do they watch YouTube in jail? Probably not. So that's my story, guys. Thank you for listening. I know it was pretty lacking in like a lot of fine details, but it's kind of hard to remember details when it happened years and years ago. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you like this video, I hope you like and subscribe. That was so lame.